Hey comic book fans, my nerdy friends, and my geeky compadres, what's going on? I am here with you today to talk about a book that you most likely are not reading, but you should. This is kind of like my review of the first 6 issues of X-Men Legacy. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to try my very absolute best to not spoil anything, but in order for you to get hooked into wanting to possibly read this book, I have to give you something. So I'm just going to give you kind of a brief overview of what the first 6 issues is about. It's going to be kind of like a trade review, because I think you can pick this first 6 issues up in trade. If I remember correctly, Ben Gambit 896 did a review of the first trade of this book. So, first off, I'm going to tell you that it's written by Simon Spurrier. And you can see right there, that's his name. He is very British, and you can tell it in his writing. The main character in this book is Legion. He is Professor X's son, and the way it starts off confused the shit out of me until I got like halfway through the first book, and then it became just awesome. So you start off with what looks like a prison scene, and there's these kind of crazy mutant slash monster like people in cells kind of talking to each other, and they're systematically being taken by like what looked to me like a prison guard and sucked of their like energy kind of. So I'm just kind of like, that's kind of cool, but I don't understand it. And then you flash to another scene where Legion, shoot, I can't remember his name. I think it's, one second. So unprepared, so unprofessional. That's all right. The prison is called the Cortex. That's it right there. So you can see like all these little mutant slash monster guys in their cells, and yeah, so they're being taken by the guards and like sucked of their energy, right? Okay, so exactly like I just said. Then you go to throwing stuff. This scene where you're like, okay, a monk talking to a guy named David. So we find out that David is this man right there. That's David. He, like I said, is Professor X's son, and yeah, that's pretty much what we got right now. So David is pretty much hanging out with the monk guy, and they're building. Oh man, it's hard to explain. So they're working together to build a mind prison for David slash Legion, his crazy millions of personalities in his head. All these personalities have special powers. One special power each, and they can take control of David's body at kind of any given moment. So, I mean, I kind of give it away, but you find out that the cortex is David's brain. All these little monsters and mutants that are running around in there or being trapped in there are, like I said, they have certain powers that can control his body at any given moment. What he does is he ends up being that guard who sucks out their energy and then can use their powers whenever he wants. However, if one of them breaks free and like bites him, they get in control of his body. Just the idea behind that sold me on this book. It's just kind of like a cool, like really cool concept for me. I think it's really neat. So that's what the first issue really sets up. It tells you who David is, why he's called Legion. He has a legion of mutants and stuff in his head that he can take control of, but can also take control of him. Him and the monk, not really a monk guy, but, I call him the monk guy. It's his guru. They're working on building a stronger prison for the powers inside his head. So, time goes on. They're building this prison, and we find out that David is in like a kind of like a, I don't want to say camp because of the negative connotations. He's kind of in a camp where like kind of old, retired mental like mutants with mental powers go, really. So he's there, and the like villagers outside of this area come, and they're kind of upset with the fact that there's hundreds of superpowered mutants in their territory. So David kind of, we see him use his power for the first time to use one of the mutants with telekinetic powers to like talk to the villagers through their minds. Really impressive, but leaves the area devastated in the end, and his guru dies. So David decides to go out on his own and be what his father was supposed to be. He kind of saw Professor X as a guy who talks the talk, but never actually did anything to make the world a better place for mutants. So David decided that that's what he's going to do. And he goes out, and as he's traveling, he gets taken over by some of the prisoners in his mind and does things he doesn't even remember. So he begins to get attacked by, I think it was like the Chinese military, and they're after him, and he comes across a set of floating eyes that turn into kind of a monster, but tell him that this monster knows like the future and the different paths the future can take, and he does things in order to get the path that he wants. So he like hits an icicle that hits a bird or something, like a whole chain of events happens, and one of the military guys dies that was about to kill David. So in this exchange that David has with the floating eyes, he learns that there are 2 children in Tokyo that are being held captive and they need to be helped. So David takes it upon himself to go out and help these children. And in this time that he ends up going to Tokyo, of course, and he's looking for the children, and he finds out that they're like not being held captive by the Yakuza. They're like part of the gang, really, and they help them out. So the eyes kind of told David what he wanted to hear in order for him to go there and help out the children that didn't really need help. God, I really don't want to delve too deep into this story because I want you guys to read it, but it's just awesome. So David comes across these children, and he finds out that they can help him control the monsters in his mind by the kids work together to become like a ghost phantom bird. It's crazy. Like this, just me saying this just makes it sound crazy. God, I'm so not gonna get any of you to read this book. Anyway, the kids help him control the monsters and mutants in his mind, and he can take control of those mutants' powers and use them in the real world. So, what happens in this book is it's like two different planes of existence. You have the one world where David is trying to control all the mutants and monsters in his head and use those powers in his mind to, in the real world, help people. It's actually really fantastic. I'm doing a terrible, terrible job of trying to explain it. But it's just so good. Like, he comes across the X-Men who think that he's trying to hurt the kids and they're trying to help him, and he just, oh my God. The way he ends up taking control of all the monsters in his head is just awesome. What he does with their powers is just fantastic. It's just fun. Like, you see him struggle so much in both worlds to just try and keep it together that you just can't help but pull for the guy. It's just really, really damn good. I gave up a few things. I don't want to give up the end of the story arc. You know, I really don't want to give anything away, but I want to give you enough to be interested in this book. So, I hope you got interested. Really what I just talked about probably got you through the first, like, 3 issues. But it's just so good. So, I want to give a big thanks to the Hulk's Big Toe, Dr. Monkeybot, and Scott Grady for, like, turning me on to this. And then, huge, tremendous thanks to the Hulk's Big Toe for sending me the first 5 issues. Right now I'll go through it and I'll show you all the covers. I really enjoy the cover art. The art in it, inside the book, I really enjoyed. I don't even want to try to pronounce his name. That guy, I enjoyed his artwork on the book. There is another artist in the last 3 issues, Molina. I didn't enjoy his as much. It's still good. It just wasn't as good, in my opinion. So, anyway, this is issue 1. This is 2. This reminded me of Hawkeye, like it would be a Hawkeye cover, but really cool. Issue 4. See, they all kind of deal with what I told you. Like, you can see all the mutants and monsters that are inside. This is supposed to be David. You can see right there, his name badge says Legion. He's in no way a police officer, but I guess he's trying to be, of the brain prison. But yeah, I really like these covers. And then this is issue 6, where everybody's just, he hears a million voices. So yeah, that's like kind of I guess it's not really a review. It's just kind of like trying to get you guys like an intro to the book. This is just a book I think everybody should be reading. Somebody said that it's like the worst selling X book out right now. I haven't seen very many people saying they're pulling it or picking it up at all. But I think you should. I mean, at least give the first story arc a try. And if there's a trade out for it, go pick that up. Don't go buy all the single issues. Save some money and go pick up the first trade. But for real, go pick up the first trade. Like, it's just so good. It's funny. It makes you think. It's just so good. I'm sticking on with it. Actually, the Spins 1390, Kevin said he's going to send me issues 7 through 11. And I know issue 12 just came out, I think, last month, or this month. And 13 comes out, like, next week or something like that. So I'm going to pick those two up and stick with it because this book just interests me. It's really cool. It's really fun. I know everybody says that about every book, that they're all really cool and really fun, but this one really is. I think it's fantastic. The artwork's great. The storyline's great. The dialogue is spectacular. It's just really good. So go pick it up. Give it a shot. It's worth it, I think. So, yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you probably early next... I'll see you Sunday for Sunday brunch. And I'll see you probably early next week, Monday or Tuesday, for Lightning Round reviews. I got almost all my books read. And a good chunk of them are really good. So, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching again. And long live Legion.